What's up, BG fam? It's your boy here, B1ZARRO, bringing you that sweet content you've been asking for. Welcome back to another episode of B1ZARRO Gaming, and this week we're diving back into the top 7 as we get ready to crown the greatest video game controller of all time. That's right, we've already crowned the greatest console of all time, so it's only fitting that we follow that up with crowning the greatest controller of all time. I am excluding the PlayStation 5 controller due to my lack of time with the controller. Before we get started, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell to be notified for more sweet content in the future. While you're at it, here's the question of the video. What is your favorite controller of all time? Be sure to let me know down below. So sit back on that couch, prop those feet up, crack open those bottles of Yoo-Hoo, and let's get ready to crown the greatest controller of all time. Before this controller, we had the Master System and NES controllers. While they were good in their own right, they weren't just very comfortable. Try going back and playing with those. I guarantee you won't play very long until your hands hurt. Insert the Sega Genesis and the newly designed 3-button controller. This controller was much larger than that was before it. You could easily tell the demographic they were going after from its conception. The Super Nintendo controller was small and fit into children's hands perfectly. The Sega Genesis controller fit into young adult males' hands perfectly, and that was the target demographic for this system. It was perfect for adults to play this system and feel comfortable while playing it. Once more arcade ports started coming to the Genesis, sadly they had to redesign the controller. 3 buttons just weren't cutting it. So the newly designed 6-button controller came out, and fans noticed that it was much smaller. Had they kept the size the same and just put 6 buttons on it, the 6-button controller would more than likely be on this list instead of 3. Many of you are questioning this pick for the simple fact it doesn't add much to its predecessor, the DualShock 1. But the reason I picked this one over the first is simple. The options they gave you were more. Colors were limited with the first generation, but PlayStation went all out when it launched the DualShock 2. As default, they had the black version. But then, they added beautiful transparent versions. They obviously realized the appeal the N64 had with its transparent colors and duplicated it for its controllers. While the PlayStation controller was known for being small, it was a great option and it felt good during the time period. It definitely beat the flat controllers of the golden ages. This one is mainly on this list due to my biased opinion and my nostalgic feeling for this system and controller. But hey, it's my list. With that said, the fact that you had the visual memory unit, the triggers that felt amazing, and the button layout that was just heavenly, it had to be on this list. Compared to what we had during the time period, this was the obvious favorite. Of course, if you had really big hands, you probably weren't a fan of this controller. If you're a gamer and you've never used this controller, are you really a gamer? The GameCube controller was an interesting design. By looks alone, you would think this controller would be absolutely heinous, but then you would play it and you'd be in absolute nirvana. The controller just melts into your hands and the button layout just feels so natural. Then they go and make the Wavebird and completely change the game. Before this, you had several attempts of making a wireless controller, and those attempts were complete and utter trash. Needless to say, no one was expecting the Wavebird to be halfway decent, let alone the best. The Wavebird changed the design into more of a solid controller and made wireless a thing. I mean, heck, the next generation after that, until today, all controllers have been wireless. Except third parties, of course. These are such a hit that even today, they are highly sought after, and the price continues to go up. Microsoft entered the console game with the original Xbox in 2001. With the release of their first system, their controller was met with some criticism. The Duke, as it was nicknamed, was ginormous, and it had to be designed for Dwayne Johnson, who was there when it was unveiled. They quickly redesigned the controller into more of a slimmed-down version, but even then, this controller still didn't feel right. Cue the next generation of Xbox. The Xbox 360 was released in 2005 and quickly became a hit. One huge aspect was their wireless controller, which was redesigned and more slim than the one before it. This controller fit perfectly into your hands and had a great layout. It was easily the best controller on the market then, and gave Xbox the edge it needed into the next generation. The first three consoles that PlayStation had didn't change much on the DualShock controllers. Yeah, the PS3 had the new triggers, but besides that, there was not very much change in between each generation. Enter the PlayStation 4. When the PlayStation 4 was officially unveiled, fans were shocked to see a redesign to their beloved controller. It was much needed though, as Xbox had won the controller game hands down the generation before. This new controller was larger and had more prominent handles, but it kept true to the original design. They added a touchpad to the controller and a little speaker that allowed publishers to utilize it for their games. Then you had an LED light bar that would change depending on which game you were playing. The controller felt better in your hands and was a huge improvement over the previous ones. In my opinion, it beat the Xbox 360's controller, but barely. Before I tell you number one, here are some honorable mentions. The Atari 2600, the Nintendo Entertainment System, and the Nintendo 64. All of these are great in their own right and deserve their place in history. Just not on my list. Elite is in its name and it fits perfectly. This controller adds to that of the 360 and the normal Xbox One controller and perfects the experience. It's simply the next level experience. The only drawback is the price tag, but it's well worth it. You can add different attachments or keep it the way it comes. You can customize it to your liking. Now, I am definitely not your average Xbox fanboy. I do enjoy Xbox, but it is not my favorite. But there's no denying that they make a great controller. So that was my top 7 controllers of all time. Do you agree? Let me know down below. This was definitely a hard list to make. So many different controllers that could have easily been on this list. But in my opinion, this was the best of the controllers in the industry today. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. I enjoy making it for you. If there's anything you want to see, let me know down in the comments section below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for that sweet content coming in the future. I am the B1ZARRO of B1ZARRO Gaming. Until next time.